John here. I'm back again with another review, and today, well, this is for Johnny Jerry. He wanted me to talk about and review Sin City, based on the Dark Horse Comics 2005 film, directed by Robert Rodriguez, Frank Miller, and special guest director Quentin Tarantino. But yeah, this is a really good film. First time watch for me. And I don't know why it took me this long to watch the movie. I remember when it came out, I'm like, okay, that looks very cool. You know, the black and white, style. And I don't know why I never saw the film before. And I forgot how much of a hit this film was. I mean, I believe the budget was around 40 million and it made over 160 million. So it was a hit. I mean, that much of a hit to where it spawned a sequel, which I haven't heard too many good things about. That came out in 2014. But yeah, this film here, it's got a lot of style. Again, just very stylish, great cast. A lot of big names here. I mean, you have Bruce Willis, you have Mickey Rourke, Benicio del Toro, Brittany Murphy, Clive Owen, Elijah Wood, Michael Clark Duncan, Nick Stahl, and so many more. Powers Booth, Rutger Hauer in a small part. So again, it's just a great ensemble cast here that definitely, Rosario Dawson. But yeah, a lot of big names here in this movie, and that's to me like, just again, I can't get over this cast. Jessica Alba, a lot of great looking women here in this movie. But so the plot here to this film now, again, is based on the Dark Horse comics, which I haven't read. But so in this film, you have these stories. Now the intro to the film is based on The Customer Is Always Right, which you have Josh Hartnett in the beginning, and it's actually the intro and outro of the film. And it's not long, it's not long at all. But, getting into the meat of the story, or the different stories, I should say, you have That Yellow Bastard, part one, which you have Bruce Willis as this agent cop, Hardigan, and he's tracking down this child killer played by Nick Stahl. And, he's, again, killing children, and his father is a senator played by Powers Booth, which you see him later on. But so you got that story, and then you get into another story, which again, this takes place in Sin City, and the film is all black and white. I mean, there are certain scenes where you may see a little bit of color, and I liked how they did that. But the second story here, The Hard Goodbye, you have the character of Marv, played by Mickey Rourke, and after a one-night stand, he wakes up to find that Goldie, this hooker, had been killed while he was sleeping. And he's framed for it, as the police arrive, and he's vowing to, avenge her death. Go after the people that killed her. So Mickey Rourke plays a great character, Marv, in the film. Great makeup, too, with the chin and all that. You also have the story of the Big Fat Kill, which you have Brittany Murphy in the film. And she's this prostitute, and she is harassed by her abusive pimp, played by Benicio del Toro, and his cronies. And so you got that story going on, and there's kind of a war between, the group of prostitutes and some mercenaries and police and stuff like that. That's where you get Clive Owen, his character in the film. He's a PI, a private investigator, I believe, and a really cool character. I like that. Those are some of my favorite parts too. The stuff with Clive Owen and Benicio del Toro. I thought that was a really good story. But so again, and then the film ends with the outro of what you saw in the beginning. And I know again, this film consists of those different stories. They kind of connect, but I mean, at one point you saw the two stories with Bruce Willis's character, because he comes back later, where he takes on Nick Stahl's character, which now he becomes the Yellow Bastard, which I thought was a unique look for the character. And, Bruce Willis defeating that character, Mickey Rourke, he's facing off against Elijah Wood, which Elijah Wood in the film is kind of creepy. Just the way the way he acted, the way his mannerisms, which you see in the film. And if I don't mention the characters' names, I mean, I mentioned Marv and Hardigan, but, some of the other characters' names are... I know Benicio del Toro plays his character Jackie. Again, he's a pimp, and he's in one part of the story. But, there's a couple of stories that connect here, and that's kind of the plot here, or plots, I should say. But again, what makes this film work, to me, is the cast. I mean, you have a really strong cast here that, nowadays you just would not see this. Like a comic book film, with this strong of a cast, where you have all these great actors that, like Bruce Willis and Mickey Rourke, Benicio del Toro, Clive Owen, and you also have Josh Hartnett in there, Brittany Murphy, Jessica Alba, Rosario Dawson, and Rutger Hauer, rest in peace, Powers Booth, rest in peace. And it's just such a powerhouse of a cast, and you could see why it became a hit. Even, I'm seeing, like, one thing that I realized with this movie, that it seemed to, like, after this film with Mickey Rourke, he had a little bit of a resurgence, because he did this movie, and then shortly after, he did The Wrestler, and he was kind of on top there for a little bit, coming back for The Expendables, but, of course, in recent years, because of, the surgery, and I don't know what happened to Mickey Rourke. I don't know if it's because of his behaviors, or, again, the way he comes off in interviews and stuff like, again, just stories I've heard. I don't know what happened to Mickey Rourke. Iron Man 2. I mean, so this was kind of a comeback for Mickey Rourke. Some people might say The Wrestler was his comeback, but you can almost bring it back to here, because in the same year he did Domino, so things were starting to, again, come back for Mickey Rourke, but eventually he would fall off again, because again, I don't know what happened. He doesn't look the same. Maybe, I don't know what happened there, but he was a great actor, did a great job here. But again, the cast here, the cast is what, to me, makes the film. And the black and white look of the film, the look of the city, and I thought even just a little hint of color, throughout the film, I thought it was well shot. Some of the characters I thought were really cool, really engaging. The performances were engaging and just well directed by Robert Rodriguez, Frank Miller, and like I said, Quentin Tarantino had a special part in the directing. I think he directed some of the tar pits, the scene with the tar pit in the Clive Owen, Benicio del Toro plot line. So I know, reading about the film, he directed that portion of the film. And I don't want to get too deep into the film here, but, and I did watch the theatrical version. So I don't know, what's different from the other versions here. Because on disc 2, you also have the recut, extended, unrated version. So, maybe somebody out there can clarify more on that, as far as what's different in that version. Again, I just watched the theatrical. But, when you get violence, I mean, it's really, it's violent. I mean, there's one instance where, Mickey Rourke takes out Elijah Wood by cutting off his limbs, and this dog is eating his body, in the woods, tied up, And so there's a lot of graphic violence here, and that's my kind of movie. You know, especially of this type of filmmaking, where again, a lot of it, the majority of the film is black and white, but you get, you know, a little bit, you know, a little bit of color, but it's, you know, it's just enough to make it really engaging. And again, the look at the city I really liked. And yeah, I mean, again, just I really go back to this cast. Everybody does a great job. There's no one bad performance. You know, even the women here, again, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of great looking women in this movie. You get some TNA. You know, if people wonder about that, yes, you did get a little bit of that. Yeah, Carlo Gugino, I believe that's her name. She's in the film. I forgot. You know, the mom from the Spy Kids movies. You know, she's in here as this, you know, parole officer that's a lesbian of Mickey Rourke's character. So she's in the film. I liked, you know, if I mentioned some favorite scenes, I liked some of the segments where, again, I think for me, my favorite was the Clive Owen stuff and the Benicio del Toro, where they're, you know, the prostitutes take out Jackie. That was fun stuff. You know, Marv on the loose, you know, seeking revenge for the death of Goldie. I thought that was really cool. And again, I like the look of Marv. And I'm like, I want to see, you know, Marv get his own movie. Even the character of Hartigan, Bruce Willis. And I could have, maybe one thing, I could have wished that Bruce Willis was in the film more. And again, I know that, you know, he kind of has his own stories here. But I kind of would have liked to see more of that character. That Hartigan character where he has heart problems and stuff. And he's trying to, you know, talk himself up, you know, to go after this guy. Finish the job. Take down Nick Stahl's character, Yellow Bastard. I like that stuff. You know, good narration from Bruce Willis. But, you know, so I would say at the end of the day, Sin City, it's a well-done movie. I mean, it's R-rated. And Robert Rodriguez, Frank Miller, you know, did a wonderful job here. Directing-wise. With a little touch of Tarantino, because you got, again, some good stuff with the tar pits. So yeah. And again, this is coming from somebody, I haven't read the comics, but I really dig this movie. And I have not seen the sequel. Excuse me. I have not seen the sequel, so, and maybe I'll wait. Because again, you know, some of the stuff I've heard about, it's not too great. But at the end of the day, Sin City, well done movie. But yeah, that's my review of Sin City. Thank you to Johnny Jerry for the request, and have a good day.